Eliezer Mayenda, you beauty. Well, two good moments. The first one with a great finish from Mayenda, and the second one and a fantastically delicious ball from Trey Hume on the right-hand side. To be fair, the ball from Yelda was actually pretty decent in the first half. But yeah, sorry, I'm re-recording me. Sorry, one of my messages there. I'm just re-recording my video because I actually recorded earlier than this, but the video wasn't good, really. I was kind of stuttering too much. So I'm going to try and be a bit concise here. Basically, long story short, I've had to sum the game up. I think the first 10 minutes or so, Sheffield Wednesday had two decent chances, and I think we were quite lucky that they didn't finish them off, really. And I promise you, look, I think in terms of as the game grew on, I don't think Sheffield. I'm trying to remember in the second half, particularly, didn't create as many clear-cut chances as I imagine their fans would have liked. But at the same time, I watched them against Burnley last week, and until it was 2-0, Sheffield Wednesday were well more than in the game and were the better side, really, and created the better opportunities, in my opinion. They're not an easy team to play against, but I feel like at times I felt Sunderland's play. I think at the opening 10 minutes, I thought we were quite sloppy, and I thought that Dan Neil in particular, I thought Dan Neil actually in general across the game was pretty good, but the opening 10 minutes I thought he was quite poor for his standards because he was sloppy with the ball. But at the same time, once we got to grips in the first half, we weren't great, but we controlled it enough. And I think, look, let's quickly get onto a couple of refereeing decisions. And I've said this before, win, lose or draw. There was a comment last week that said, if Sunderland don't win, it's the referee's fault. That's always how it is on this channel. Funny that, and I'm saying that right now, but it's funny how people who criticise me when I mention the referees don't mention the fact that I mention them when Sunderland win as well. Just to bear that in mind for anyone who criticises us for that. Look, let's get this out of the way. Should Sheffield have had a penalty for the Yelda potential handball? I can see why it wasn't given, but I can also see why Sheffield fans are appealing for it, because I've said it before. I try to judge decisions as this way. Other way round, would I be fuming if that wasn't given? And yeah, I probably would be a bit annoyed if that wasn't given. Then the handball that sort of was in the build-up to Mayenda's first goal. Should that mean that the goal shouldn't have stood? Possibly. Personally, for me, I think again, with looking at it from the lens of would I be annoyed if it was the other way around, I feel like that Mayenda didn't intentionally do it, but at the end of the day, if it's a handball, then you're going to have a right to appeal it, basically. And I've said before, regardless of what you think of those decisions, in general, the officials are absolutely shocking in this division. They are absolutely shocking. And yes, people can say whatever they want about VAR and not wanting it, and it ruins the game. And yeah, there's some validity to those statements, I think. But this can't be the only alternative. We need to have better sort of standard of officials. And yeah, look, so I think they could argue that Sheffield fans will have a right to argue they got the big calls wrong. But having said that, Mayenda's finish, that's my rant about the officials out of the way, but Mayenda's finish for the first one's really, really good, because as the ball's coming down, he's got a Hickway, well, he did have a Hickway behind him, but Hickway misjudged the flight of the ball. You guys remember Hickway in our final home league game in League One. He scored 4 and against us, which is quite weird. But yeah, no, Mayenda managed to control the ball and just basically did a little dink as Beadle was coming out, and the ball kind of bounced quite slowly into the back of the net, and I thought eventually their lad who was running to try and catch up with it was going to get to it, but no, really good finish, and I think Sunderland could asserted more control from that point. Then the second half, ambulance to smash and grab result in it, I suppose. And then the second half, I felt like, look, Sunderland started quite poorly, and I know there were some fans in the pub that I was watching it were hammering. There was one or two that were critical of Patterson for the goal. Personally, for me, I think that's Metham. I know I'm not a goalkeeper, by the way, so I'm not like a good authority to talk about this. And even then, I don't like saying that because it makes it sound like I'm more important than I am, because I'm really not. But for me, I think Metham, what are we doing? I swear, every goal we concede is through a moment of stupidity. And that is something, and for me, top two still done, regardless of whether Sheffield United somehow lose to QPR tomorrow and whether Burnley somehow don't beat Cardiff. Like, top two for me is done. But if we're going to have a chance of getting promoted through the playoffs, we can't concede goals like that. It's poor. It's not only poor marking, but at the same time, it started from Metham, instead of booting it into Rose Ed, was stupid with it. And that's something that really annoys me, as you can tell. But second half, I felt the one thing I would criticise about Lebris, and it's a funny one with Lebris because there is a little bit of nuance for me that should be allowed. Lebris has got us to a very good position. There's no denying that, and I think you can't argue against that reasonably. We're competing against 3 clubs that have got parachute payments, and I know that some fans don't like it when people say that. Some fans are saying, well, Ipswich didn't last season. Ipswich are an exception to the rule. More times than not, the top 2 in the last 4 or 5 years have been or last 4 years certainly, have been, apart from Ipswich, parachute payment teams. So I think we are doing well to compete, but there were times tonight when the lack of he was a bit reactive with his subs, and I think, but really reactive in the way that we scored. Now for me, I like Lebris a lot. I think there's a really good things he's done, but those are things I think for me he needs to work on and needs to be a bit better at. But look, I thought he was a bit, obviously he made some pretty defensive subs at the end, but he can say that it's worked, and that's fair enough. If it keeps working, brilliant. I want to be shutting up in that regard. But yeah, the moment of quality from Hume to Mayenda was just brilliant, and I think Mayenda, what's that, 6 goals he scored this season, and 4 of them have been against Sheff Wed, 5 of them against clubs from Sheffield, funnily enough. So look, massive 3 points that was. Was the performance great? No, to be honest. But I've said before, I think Sheffield United, we've probably had a performance tonight like I think Sheffield United have had a lot of the season. But there you go. It is what it is. Sheffield United or Burnley will contest top 2 for me. For me, let's just make sure we've prevented a potential winless or losing run, and we didn't want that to drag on. So it's good to get a win. Performances do need to be better, but it's 3 points. If you can't enjoy this, then what's the point anymore? But anyway, guys, I love you and leave you there. And fair play to Sheff Wed fans. As I said, look, I like Sheff Wed. I've made that pretty clear. I think the sooner that Muppet Chancery goes, and I can't believe that some of the nonsense he comes out with. But so any Sheff Wed fans watching this, good luck for the rest of the season. And yeah, if Danny Roll was backed a bit more, I wouldn't bet against him getting Sheff Wed in the playoffs. I really rate Danny Roll. As you know, I wanted him for the Sunderland job last summer, but there you go. Anyway, guys, I love you and leave you there. What do you guys think of the game? Comment respectfully below, like, share the video around, and if you're not a subscriber, you've watched me and think I've earned a sub from you, then hit the sub button. Free, doesn't cost a penny, as Sean says. And yeah, see you next week for Cardiff and Preston. Let's hope to get back to winning ways at home. How are the lads? Get in, Eliezer Mayenda, you beauty.